morning, our president, the vice president, the chancellor, the vice chancellor, the lecturers, the prof and doctor, academic and non-academic staff from Industrial University, USA, and India. My name is Francis O. Francis. I'm here to present our study, Industrialization and Independence, a pivot to economic development in Nigeria. I start. The study informs that the economy of any nation is characterized by the activities being carried on in the nation towards the production of goods and services to meet both the immediate and future needs of the citizen. Mining, agriculture, and manufacturing, human capital development, healthcare facilities, rural and urban electrification, etc., form part of the economic activity of any nation. Several lectures have shown that industrialization often offers several benefits, which include long terms, including a more diverse economy, which lowers employment, better welfare, and the transfer of technology. According to Latin American nations, along with those in Asia and Southern East, they have also projected that industrial strategy, seen as a tremendous success, I've seen as a tremendous on other worlds, industrial strategy in Africa followed a non-linear beginning in the 1960s with an import substitution strategy and continuing through the 1970s and 1980s with a hybrid of two approaches until settling on a market-oriented strategy in 1990s. The African continents have been characterized by poor industrialization strategy, hence poor industrial development, whereby the developed countries have been in the forefront of industrialization, which has affected Nigeria and many African countries. Now, also adopted conceptual literature, who posit that industrialization is a process by which an economy is transformed from primarily agrarian and manual labor-based economy to a manufacturing and industrial-dominated economy, according to MFL 2018. It is practice by which a country acquired faster pace in the quest for industrial development, in the capability, production, and manufacturing of value-added goods, and converting raw materials into finished industrial durable goods for sustainable development. Industrialization, therefore, entails what? Mechanization, large production technology, and what? Innovation, urbanization. Industrialization engenders productivity, growth, economy, diversification, development of new method of production, new industries, services, creation of fresh job opportunities, and improve standard of living, as postulated by Eleta et al. And also World Bank, 2019. While advancement in technology is a requirement for rapid industrialization, industrialization also, on the other hand, is a main driver of technology development, as postulated by Ozokema and Mohammed 2015. That means rapid industrialization provides a strong basis for employment and also for development. Now, we also adopted theoretical review. We adopted what they call neoclassical growth theory. If you're in social science, it talks about also the key drivers of economy development. According to this theory, they are the accumulation of capital, the advancements of technology, and the increase of the labor force. It states that if we want to boost productivity and encourage economic growth, we must invest in both what? Physical and human capital. And our theory talks about indigenous growth theory, according to the school of thought, also postulated that human capital, research and development, R&D, and technical innovation are what? The real engines of sustained economic expansion in order to promote long-term economic growth, and also stresses the significance of information generation and dissemination. The other one is dependency theory, which is affecting the African nation, especially Nigeria. The theory also possesses that the developing countries like Nigeria and many African countries are often steep or dependent in the circle or dependency on developed nations. This allows that high-rich nations often use developing nations as a source of deep cheap labor, raw materials, highlighting what exploitative character of global economic relations, which have been in ages. It's a main theory. Now, let's talk about. We also adopted system theory. According to the model, the economy is like a web of interdependent pieces. It stresses how critical it is to comprehend the interplay between the various political and social, talk about the government, the society, and also the environment need to be compressed together to enhance development. Then we also move toward the empirical review to make sure that our variables are well tested. And that variable in the in 2023 study, Boye and Itel, they also realize how industrialization affected GDP growth in Nigeria. Industrialization is a key factor propelling Nigeria economic development, according to the findings obtained via the use of core integration methodologies. Using poor domestic product, GDP, crude oil and material gas manufacturing and solid material as independent variables, as postulated by Kadi and Anna 2020, which also investigated the impact of industrialization in GDP growth in Nigeria. Among the tools employed on the investigation were Johnson core integration tests, the error correction method, and the augmented Deakin-Fowler unit root test. Evidence from this study shows that solid minerals, manufacturing, natural gas and crude oil, and overall economic growth are all positively correlated. In order for the manufacturing sector to run smoothly, the paper recommends what? Cultivating an enabling environment. Ezekiel et al. Also posited in 2010 that he also posited is to determine how industrialization policy and tactics affected Nigeria's GDP growth. Industrialization contributes significantly to GDP growth in Nigeria according to empirical findings from the RADL, limit testing method of co-integration. To spur industrial development and progress in Nigeria, has also suggested robust industrialization techniques and also chances to the electricity sector, which is also one of our problems in this country. Then industrialization and the industrialization major, which is also the major factor, as I said here, the major factor in this place. Okay. So what do it entails here? Industrialization versus industrialization major, which is also a major agent in Africa. All right. Industrial demand and African fit. Africans should develop so much on production, not on consumption. We must use what they call agricultural method to be able to grow so that we can move into the way India and another country are doing. Now, we must begin to develop our industrial base so that we can also have what they call globalization in trade. Then globalization of African economics. Without industrial demand, there can't be any globalization. I'm running it now. Macroeconomic stability. When African nations macroeconomy are stable, it supply development since it makes them businesses more likely to spread around. Human capital development, investing in healthcare, education, training, among other national assets, might provide the groundwork for complete industrial sector and make the country more investment friendly. And then the other one is governance. If African economy, environment, and entrepreneurial spirit flourish, the continent needs political institutions that can ensure rule of law, enforcement, government, and stability, and the absence of corruption. Stringent regulation also may discourage industrialization in Africa and make it harder for market to thrive effectively. Financial development. For a favorable impact on industrialization may also result from the function of financial institutions in guaranteeing more efficient resources allocation in particular, the presence of effective banking system, which must also be involved so that the people can invest, people can borrow money and use for other investment, even small scale business. So, conclusion and recommendation. In light of expository findings, policymakers and African government must, as a matter of agency, implement more economic-oriented industrialization strategies to quickly expand the industrial sector and boost economic growth on the continent. Among the many outcomes of this push will be a more stable macroeconomic environment with lower inflation, exchange rate, interest rate, and more investment in physical and human infrastructure, less corruption, incentive for industry in the form of tax breaks, relief and subsidies, and advancement in technology and innovation tanks to more funding for research and development. In order, now we move now to recommendation. In order to increase our inhabitant per capita income and benefit from industrialization impact on GDP and GDP growth throughout the continent of Africa, African government should establish and execute macroeconomic policy. Corruption and other forms of irregularity in both public and commercial institutions have a cost, diminish the impact of industrialization, which must also have in Africa. So operational policy that is taken up. Operational policy must be aimed at eradicating these problems, which is necessary to accomplish the goal. Thank you so much for allowing me, moderator. I am blessed. I'm happy to be part of this. Thank you so much, sir.